Zoom and boom, every pony. It is 8 o'clock on the East Coast what day am I in? Friday, May 18th. I was going to do this on Wednesday, but got moved to Friday. And we are live. This is episode number 18. Welcome to According to Spiky Dash. Spiky Dash here with you for a loaded episode. I have not been able to do a stream like this in a long time, not since actually I did one. Of course, last episode was for the Winnie City recap shortly after I got back from Schaumburg. This month has been kind of crazy busy. Weather's been rough the past week or so. Busy with work, busy with life, so a lot going on there. But finally have a chance to talk a lot. This is going to be mainly pony episode because I've got five episodes to talk about. The last 5 episodes of season 8. Episodes 5 through 9 will be in this episode tonight. Also going to talk a little about kind of my early thoughts on the book I'm reading right now that I picked up at Winnie City. Talk about Sensation a little bit. Also going to talk toward the end a couple sports-related things, NFL stuff, and also NHL playoffs a little bit. But I would be remiss if I did not open with to all of you right now who are in Seattle at Everfree Northwest this weekend. I hope you are having an outstanding time in Seattle. So hello to everyone out there at Everfree Northwest. Tough that I can't be there, long way away from me. I mean, that's just the hard part of going to a convention so far away from me is travel, saving up money. That's the hard thing for me. It's hard enough for me that I put so much into Winnie City this past month that it would be like hard for me to like travel so far out west like Seattle or BabsCon in San Francisco or High Roller in Vegas. It would take a lot, like almost a full-blown miracle for me to make it out to one of the West Coast conventions. But to all of you, I hope you have an outstanding weekend this weekend. I do want to mention though one thing, and I've also posted a link in the description kind of regarding this as well. I was able to play a small part in Everfree Northwest. For those of you who I may have mentioned this before, I may have not. For those of you who follow Bill Newton, who's one of the voice actors for Bright Mac, Faring, Stygian on the show, he did it when he posted a video about a month or so ago for this girl named Anna, and she had been bullied by some people who were saying that that My Little Pony's for babies, that she was being bullied because of it, and Bill posted a very heartfelt video in the voices of the characters to inspire her to keep her head up, keep her chin up, because MLP's for everybody, and we know this is part of the fandom. It's for anyone and everyone, and it was just really struck a chord with me. It's just very inspirational, and he was going to try really, really hard to get Anna to Everfree Northwest. And as I later found out after watching the video and then seeing his tweets on Twitter, found out that Anna and her family were going to Everfree. But then Bill decided to step up and do a stream on his Twitch channel to do like a fundraiser to help, to like a 24-hour fundraiser. I think it was like 24 hours, something like that. I think it was 12 hours. To help, kind of offset the funds of getting Anna to the convention and making her experience absolutely outstanding. So to really make her, VIP experience awesome. I wasn't able to give much at the time. I think I gave like a $30 donation, but every little bit helps. And their goal was to raise $1,000. They surpassed that with about an hour or two to go. In all told, we nearly raised $1,300. The exact total was $1,297.05, and it just continues to show how much this fandom just amazes me when a fellow member or someone like this is in need, and the community just steps up, and does whatever they can, gives whatever they can to help someone, you know, in need. And it was just so great to be a small part of that. It was just so awesome to see that the goal got surpassed. And I'm really hoping, Anna, that you and your family are having an outstanding time right now in Seattle. I really hope that it's everything that you could ever have imagined. You know, I mean, I probably echo the same sentiments that Bill said, but don't let people being negative toward you, you know, get you down. Don't let the I think it's like, don't let the doubters doubt and the haters hate. Don't let them dictate how you live your life. You know, you can like whatever it is you want to like. I personally, you know, yes, I love this fandom and I love this show, but it's not my only hobby that I have. I have tons of different hobbies that I enjoy. And some people might find it ridiculous and odd and weird. And yeah, I get, you know, sometimes occasionally, you know, I get teased for it, but you know what? I don't let that get me down. You know, I don't let it distract me from how I live my life, because it's my life. It's how I want to live, and it's what I enjoy. So Anna, this fandom, you should know at this point, this fandom stands by you. We encourage you, we support you in everything that you do, and I hope that Everfree is making a great effort, and I'm sure that they are. But I hope they're making an effort to make it an outstanding weekend for you. And Bill Newton, again, I applaud you 100% for you, Scott Kinnersley, Thornwing, all you guys for making this happen, for making that happen for Anna and her family. And it's just awesome for me to be a little help that I can give, to be a small part of that. It warms my heart and makes me feel good that I'm helping the community again in some way. So to everyone, great weekend, have a great con. The guest list looked amazing. Outstanding panels, outstanding just everything. Everfree always looks to be one of the more popular conventions, right up there with, you know, BronyCon in Baltimore, with, you know, BabsCon in San Francisco, now with Winnie City. It's you know, Cider Fest. These are now the big name cons, and Everfree has been around for so long, and it just keeps on going and being a big success. So to everyone in Seattle, have a great weekend this weekend. Had to lead in with that. But again, if you wanted to see how the whole journey started, the first video Bill ever did for Anna, there is a link in the description, the video link down there. So click on that and hear, you know, how just so inspirational Bill was in that moment to reach out and just be an inspiration to Anna and her family. All right, so moving on now from that into some episodes. Last 5 episodes of My Little Pony Friendship Magic Season 8. We've had a nice blend here from the good episodes to the great episode, which was episode 7, to the not so great. So we've kind of had a mix. We've also had a lot of new writers this season, I've noticed as well, that has been going on throughout the season. So that's interesting too. We've had a lot of new writers taking on the perspective to dive in this season and to get their take on the characters and the way they portray in each of these episodes. But starting out with episode 5, this was actually the episode that aired during Winnie City. So I didn't get a chance to see the screening live because my special panel ran long, but I got to see it later that night. And from what I had heard around con, this episode was really, really good. And as it turned out, they were right. This one was really, really good. So I think people that were surprised by the title of the episode, Granny's Gone Wild, like, how did the show get away with that? I don't know exactly how that cleared, but it did, but okay. I gave this episode 8 out of 10 stars. I really liked this one. So kind of just a visual recap. It was nice to see, the Wonderbolts at the start, especially ones we don't get to see very often. I mean, we see Soren occasionally. We've seen him from time to time throughout the series, but saw Fleetfoot there to start, and we saw Misty Fly, and we heard her voice. And actually, Misty Fly was voiced by Kelly Sheridan, who I met, of course, at Winnie City this year. that poster. If I can put my finger there. So that was very, very cool. So apparently there's this amazing roller coaster at Las Pegasus called the Wild Blue Yonder, and it will soon be closing down for good. So of course Soren then is sharing with all the wonderful sharing Rainbow Dash about the fact. So now Rainbow Dash is like, oh man, all my fellow Wonderbolts have ridden this thing. Now I got to ride it. I haven't ridden this thing yet. So it's nice we get to see Las Pegasus again. It's nice we get to see that. And it's the first time since, of course, we saw the Flim Flam brothers take ownership of it. So that's very, very cool. So Rainbow Dash is getting all excited about this roller coaster, and we just briefly see the students. Just for a split second. We only briefly see them because Dash is showing off how the coaster works, which was a very cool montage. So she does that for any pony she runs into. It was funny when she was going up like she was replicating how the coaster goes up, and Angel Bunny is just poorly holding on for the ride. Poor Angel. But eventually she runs into Applejack, and Dash then, the only way she can get to Las Pegasus, because she has classes to teach at the School of Friendship. So the only way she can get there is if she has Applejack supervise her classes for her so you can ride the coaster. So kind of a dilemma here. And by the way, and I also mentioned, I put this in my notes also, Rainbow Dash's facial expressions in this episode, all of them, 100% priceless. All of them in this episode. If you want to see great faces for Rainbow Dash, you watch this episode. But Applejack does agree to run Rainbow's classes, but on one condition. So, and Applejack putting these conditions, that Rainbow Dash has to tag along with, unfortunately, the elders of the Apple family, that being Auntie Applesauce, Granny Smith, Apple Rose, and Goldie Delicious and her cats. So, and of course, that doesn't exactly throw Rainbow Dash at first, but Applejack reminds her that, oh, well, if you don't do this, you'll miss on your one chance to potentially ride the roller coaster. And so then, of course, that gets Dash to kind of reluctantly say, fine, I'll do it. I'm thinking to myself at that point, this ought to be good. But then Applejack gives Rainbow Dash a set of rules. So this kind of all of a sudden gave me vibes of, I have a bad feeling that these kind of by-the-book rules, remember the premiere in Season 8, are going to come back to really bite Rainbow in the tail. Literally, Even when AJ isn't yanking on Rainbow's tail physically, she's doing it mentally in her mind. So she gives her these 4 rules. They have to take their naps, eat only soft foods, be careful with dancing, and don't get too excited. That's a very interesting set of rules. But, and of course, don't let them out of your sight ever, ever, ever. So technically 5 rules, if you will. So yeah, I already get the sense that this is not going to go over very well. I feel that this is going to be a very tough outing for Rainbow. And I also got the feeling that moment that, why that Dash is going to be like the worst chaperone ever. And even she actually admits it later in the episode. She already lost her students at one point in the premiere when they played hooky. What could go wrong, right? So eventually they get in the balloon, which, by the way, was, if you noticed, that was Cherryberry in the balloon. I'm pretty sure there was Cherryberry in the balloon. I'm pretty certain. So they get in the balloon, and they're all there, and Dash is like, again, Dash with the faces, and she's hurrying everybody in. They're like, go, go, go. They're going super slow, so that's going to be... Rainbow Dash has no patience, by the way. Rainbow Dash has absolutely zero patience for anything because, of course, she's technically fast. Interesting point out to note, though, and I don't know if this was an animation error or just something that would maybe be coming in later episodes. If you notice the pony directing traffic with the sticks, that's a male alicorn, which we have never, ever seen before, by the way. So that was definitely something very, very interesting to point out. And I watched the other reviewers, and I'm like, is no one noticing this? Is no one talking about this in this episode? What is, it shouldn't be an oversight. It should just, someone should point that out. Because at con, everyone was talking about that. Like, did you see the male alicorn? Like, everyone was talking about it. And I watched all the reviewers' videos, and it's like, no one's mentioning the elephant in the room, the male alicorn in the room here. Like, what? So I don't know if that was an animation error, or if that's actually something that we need to pay attention to later on in the season. I don't know. We'll find out. But it's something worth noting. So Rainbow, of course, is trying her hardest then to make sure these rules are followed. And especially it's hard when she's being haunted by Applejack's floating head. Like, the thing with floating heads this season, like, remember we had the episode with Pinkie Pie and with Mudbriar back in episode 3 and the Mod couple and losing her mind and the floating heads haunting her. What is it with floating heads this season? Is that something else either that's going to be a theme as things go on? These floating heads, I don't know. Still spooky. But so AJ's, haunting her, reminding her, ooh, follow this rule or else you gotta go home, this stuff. But the grannies, of course, wanting to have a great time in Las Pegasus, are trying to, go beyond those rules and have fun. Now, Rainbow does eventually, try to convince them to take a nap in air quotes, because, they're not gonna stick to that, obviously. But so she then tries to get in line for the Wild Blue Yonder. Well, she sees how ridiculously long the line is, and then some pony behind her says, "Oh, isn't this great? Yeah, I know this line is long, but no responsibilities, no nothings. You can stand in line the whole day." But Rainbow's like, "Oh, no, this isn't going to work. I have my own responsibilities." So she reluctantly gives her ticket to some pony else because she knows that she can't stand there when she has responsibilities. So I felt for Rainbow Dash in that moment. I felt for her, but then of course when Dash comes back from that, thinking that they're in their beds in their room, they're gone. Of course they're gone. I mean, what did you expect? I mean, we knew. Dash didn't know obviously, but we knew they weren't going to stick around. So yeah, Dash is a pretty bad chaperone. And that's shown a lot throughout this season, with the premiere, with this, and then also recently in episode 9, which I'll talk about later, is another bad example. So yeah, I think from now on, Rainbow Dash should not chaperone anything whatsoever, anything at all, because she has had 3 instances this season of being a really bad chaperone. So chaperone, field trip leader, whatever, has not gone her way. So I would not recommend her for that job ever again. So what are the grannies doing? Well, it turns out that they are trying to break a record for horseshoe toss. So I think it was Goldie Delicious that was doing that. And then Rainbow gets kind of excited because she comes up on him finally and watches it and cheers him on. But then the announcer goes, "Oh, they're getting excited." And the floating head, of course, goes, "Ooh, they'll get too excited." So, of course, Rainbow then jumps in and of course, ruins it by missing. So that ends that. So Rainbow's trying to, in a way, kind of, not intentionally, of course, but kind of sucking the fun out of things, but only because she's been so tied down by Applejack's rules. So it's not her own fault per se. She's just doing what she was told. But in a way, she's kind of being the party pooper, if you will, by not letting them have their fun. So next they decide to hit the buffet, and Rainbow, of course, once again has to jump in because Granny Smith wants some nachos. But then, of course, Applejack's floating head, soft foods. Ooh, you're a nacho away from going home. And so Rainbow has to jump in and then switches everything to soup, of course, So yeah, so here, and I already mentioned this, but yeah, I sit here in the notes. I know it's coming off as Rainbow being a party pooper here, but she's only doing what Applejack told her to do. She kind of put her up to this. Not kind of, but she really did. She did put her up to it. And Granny Smith put in just a sick burn that said, I thought you were supposed to be the fun one. Oh, that stung. That hurt me. I mean, that was like, ouch. Ooh, ah, owie. That had to have hurt Rainbow Psyche a little bit. And then we have the dancing later that night, and we happen to come across it on the dance floor. We happen to come across two magicians from the magic show, and wait a minute. One of them strikes a very strong resemblance to Trixie. And I'm thinking maybe a family resemblance, father, and as it turns out, it was later confirmed that Jackpot is indeed Trixie's dad. Now, what we don't know is, is the other aware of the other's existence? Because we've never heard Trixie mention her father before, so we don't even know what their relationship is, if there even is one. Especially with her dad being so far away in Las Pegasus all the time, and Trixie being in Ponyville, it's like, are they even aware, and do they have a relationship? So. Because like I said, we never heard Trixie mention him before. So that was just very interesting and just kind of came out of nowhere, like came out of the blue like that. We kind of made the connection as we watched the episode, but it's like, this could be a Trixie relative resemblance, and sure enough, we were right. But it's just kind of like the way it was just like put out there, like no interaction, no nothing, just bam, here's Trixie's dad, like. How does that sink in? How does that stick, in terms of the community? And I think for the most part, the community is pretty accepting of it. But now it's like, well, now we got to have an episode with these two. Somewhere along the line, these two got to come together. We got to see these two come together in an episode. So hopefully, maybe we'll get that at some point down the line. So anyway, the gals, the grannies, get invited by the magicians to be part of their magic show. That's pretty cool, because apparently, they're big fans. They always come out and see their show every time they come to Las Pegasus, and Jackpot gives them like 5 VIP tickets. Pretty neat, pretty sweet there. So they had the magic show that night, and they get to apparently be their special assistants. So they get to be part of this really cool trick that they do at the end, where they're kind of like, it's like the water trick. You're enclosed in this box, and the water fills up. So I wonder how Floating Head AJ is going to feel about this. And it's like, she goes, do really need to say anything? That's what I thought, So needless to say, Dash swoops in, demands that they release them, ruins the trick. Because he thought they were really trapped, and then they eventually blow the surprise that every pony escapes that. So it's like, oh, really? No magic here. So the magicians disappear, and Trixie style Jackpot does the poof and doesn't really poof away. But eventually, so at this point, the grannies have had enough. Dash gets cornered by them about her behavior, about how she's ruining all their fun, and Dash eventually apologizes and explains that I'm only here to ride the Wild Woolly Honors. So I've been wanting to do this whole time. But Applejack put me up to this by holding, all these standards. And I love the reaction from the Grains after that. They're like, Applejack put you up to this? And they're like, oh, really? How could you? So I guess they really weren't all that surprised that Applejack held them to such high standards. But thankfully, we get a great resolution in the end, because the grannies, reveal to Rainbow Dash, oh, we're Grand Horseshoe gals, so we get these VIP privileges. We get to do all these special things, kind of like being, a sponsor at a con, all these neat little perks. We get the VIP treatments, and we get to be in the line, front of the lines for the rides. So they all agree then to ride the coaster with Rainbow, which is awesome. So that has a fun moment there. And then also in the end, they decide, well, Rainbow's pretty cool after all. We didn't think she was at first, being this kind of party pooper, but then after that, we think you're a hoot after all. And they let her become an honorary member of the Grand Horseshoe Gals, which is really, really neat. So cool resolution in the end. Overall, really neat episode. I really liked this one. Rainbow does shine in many ways through all her expressions, her excitement. even though Applejack was a thorn in her side a little bit. The grannies were fun, and it was nice to see Los Pegasus again, and we got to see Trixie's dad. So, after we had, before this episode, we kind of had two rough episodes the past few weeks with Mod Couple and Fake It Till You Make It, which I was a fan of neither of those episodes. They were really toward the bottom of my list for the season. So, but it was nice to see the show bounce back a bit with this episode. So, really, really liked it. And then we had two really good episodes. In my opinion, the two best episodes of the season thus far, with episodes 6 and 7. Episode 6, Surf and or Turf. Loved this episode. I gave this one 9 out of 10 stars, near perfect. Because A, the CMCs, which I rarely see in a bad CMC episode, and B, we get to see Hippogriff, spit it out, Spiky. Hippogriff character development. Okay, there's one for the blooper reel. Hippogriff character development. Okay, and action. Live streaming. So yeah, at this point though, before episode 7, this was my favorite episode of the season because obvious reasons. Again, with the CMCs, and of course with the hippogriffs. I mean, always getting to see more of them. Very, very cool. I mean, we've seen, of course, we saw them, of course, in the movie, and then with Silverstream, we saw one of the generals from, Silverstream being Princess Skystar's niece, and then, of course, Queen Nova in the movie, and then we get to see one of the generals. So very, very cool to explore hippogriff culture. But, of course, the big thing right away, the CMCs called by the map. So this just, again, further shows that the map continues to branch out. At this point, it can call any pony, anywhere, anytime, for any reason. It has gone beyond the main 6 and Starlight at this point. It has gone far beyond that. It's called Spike. It's called the CMCs. It's called Starlight. We later see that in other episodes it calls Ponyville outside of Ponyville, calling Sunburst. So it has gone beyond the scope of the main 6 at this point, and also of course adding the spots in the movie that we saw in the premiere. So yeah. So I love a good CMC episode. The exception though being Marks and Recreation. I did not like that one for the reason with Rumble and the blank flanks. That's why. But aside from that, I usually like CMC episodes. Great start with that. And, of course, they get to go to Mount Eris to the Hippogriff Kingdom. Awesome, awesome, awesome. This was just so great. More world building. And Twilight is going with them for research. Yeah, sure, Twilight. And as we end up seeing later in the episode, that really does happen. Well, maybe not really, because the hippogriffs mainly kind of like do this fanboy, fangirl, fangriff, if you will, over Twilight. Which was funny. Well, yeah, she did save their kingdom from the Storm King, along with the rest of the main 6. So, yes, that's why she's held such a high regard, a high standard. Mainly, though, she is there to get Silverstream's parents to sign her permission slip for field trips, which will then play a role 3 episodes later down the line. So it's nice to see the school is still getting some mention in these other episodes, but it's not the full focus. So we get hints and teases here and there. Eventually, we do see them again in episode 9, but we just saw kind of little bits and pieces since the premiere. So, but it was still nice to see that. Like the part on the train where Apple Bloom is sharing the history of the movie. So for those who didn't see the movie and wondered what happened, kind of like at this point, because now the movie became canon. Talking about how the Hippogriff Kingdom was, kind of sharing that backstory, how the Storm King was defeated. But I found it hilarious though that she kind of twisted the story a little bit. She slid in a joke about Applejack defeating the Storm King all by herself. Apple Bloom is proud of her family. What more can you say? She loves her family, and she's going to sneak that in. She's like, I think it just would have sounded better. Defending your family's honor. That's what I put here. Defending your family's honor, indeed. Yes, I think she definitely did that. I also liked how we finally got the explanation how the hippogriffs can transform. We saw it briefly in the premiere when Silverstream did it, going back and forth from hippogriff to sea pony, with the whole stairs thing. So we briefly saw that. It's I saw here. We saw a glimpse of that in School Days, and Silverstream used it. We never got full explanation. Well, we get it here. Here from our new character, and actually it's Silverstream's brother, Terramar. And so the Pearl was actually, after the Storm King's defeat, the Pearl was divided into sections, and every hippogriff got their own piece of it as kind of a necklace to wear around their necks, and they could transform back and forth, which I think is really, really cool. But also, then, some, after the defeat of the Storm King, some of them chose to go back up to Mount Eris to live and rebuild up there, while some others chose to still stay underwater down in Sequestria. So that's totally understandable. You get used to a place for so long. After being you were away from your original home, so you were in Sequestria for a long time, and you kind of get comfortable and used to it. That's totally understandable. But then, after the Storm King is defeated, you can now, we can go back to Mount Eris now, we can rebuild it, make it better than what it was, and make it peaceful again. And some chose to do that. Totally understandable. So the Pearl caused them to switch back and forth at their leisure. But then we get introduced, of course, to Terramar. I love Terramar as a character. I thought he was really, really cool. I love the fact he's Silverstream's brother. I had a freak out moment at first. Because I thought that Terramar at first was voiced by Kyle Rideout. I paused the TV when I was watching the episode. I paused the TV immediately, and I said, "That's Kyle Rideout." What the fuck? Yes. No.
Have you seen him?
No. Nope. Yeah. I'm doing a live stream.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry. You're fine. Sorry about that. Sorry, just next door. Apparently Nate is nowhere to be found. Anywho, where was I? Oh yeah, Terramar. So yeah, when I was watching the episode, I had to literally pause the episode, and I'm like, that's Kyle Rideout, because Terramar sounds a lot like Thorax. He seriously does. But later, after watching the credits, watching it back, I later found out that it was voiced by actually MLP first timer Cole Howard, who did an awesome job. And I gave him a follow on Twitter as well, and told him what an outstanding job he did as the voice of Terramar. I very much enjoyed how his kind of dilemma played out, because Terramar's dilemma is, he has to choose between living on the land or living in the sea, because here's the reason why. His dad lives on Mount Eris. His dad, I think his name is Skybeak, yes. And he lives up on Mount Eris, while his mom, Oceanflow, stayed underwater in Sequestria. So he's it's almost a divorce episode, not quite. It kind of touches on it a little bit, but it's not like full on, because we see later in the episode they're actually very cordial toward each other. It's just a matter of, where does one want to live? Well, Terramar feels like he's being pressured into choosing, because he feels like every hippogriffs already chose where they want to live, but he feels very much pressured by the situation he's in. So because he feels like he has, but he's very close with both his dad and his mom, and he doesn't want to let either one of them down. So he's very torn in this. So that was me very, very interesting. Another thing I enjoyed, Scootaloo. Scootaloo really shined in this episode to me, and I was so emotional with the fact that she loved the fact that she would be compared to being, when she was underwater, when she was in sea pony form, and she compared that to flying. I thought that was absolutely adorable. I felt like she was never going to leave Sequestria. I felt like she was going to want to really stay there. I can understand why, because and of course But then there's also a divide between the CMCs as a result. Scootaloo wants Terramar to stay in Sequestria because she's so drawn to it, because there's a lot that she likes. Sweetie Belle, on the other hand, is more Mike's Harmonizing Heights on Mount Eris more because, of course, she's drawn to the music and the sounds and everything like that. That's good for her. So as a result of that, though, they kind of lose sight of their mission in a way. They really forget, why they're there. They want Terramar out, but they get all lost in it because they're more focused on what they're drawn to and not Terramar himself. They point out the pros and cons, but they're so bitterly divided over it. And then they put all the pressure on Appleblom. It's like, well, Appleblom, it's up to you to cast the Assigning Bow. And even she can't do that in that moment. So to think the CMCs almost broke up because of this. This dilemma was so strong. And the song is great. By the way, the song is awesome in this episode. But they were so, Sweetie Belle and Scootaloo were so divided, they no longer, again, were focused on Terramar's problem. They were more focused on what they found enjoyable, and they tried to force their beliefs on Terramar, who was already torn up himself. He didn't need to be any more torn up than what he already was, and even says, if even you two can't agree on anything, how the heck am I supposed to? He didn't say that, but it's like, how in the world am I supposed to figure it out when you can't even figure it out? So they were only making Terramar's problem worse. They weren't improving it in any way. His heart was already divided. And I mentioned here in the notes, this tackles a strong topic for kids who are either dealing with divorce or a split apart situation and who would find it difficult to maintain a relationship with both parents or choose which one to gravitate toward more. And for me, I can sort of relate to that because when I was young, I don't really remember why it happened or the reasons behind it. I found out in later years when I asked my mom about it, but my mom and real dad divorced when I was very, very young, probably shortly after I was born. I wasn't that old when it happened because I really don't remember spending much time with my dad in my younger years. I really don't. And it was mostly my mom raising me for most of my life. And I think in the end it turned out for the better because when I asked my mom, it was probably about in high school at this time, probably about 15, 16 years old. And I asked her one day, I said, Mom, why did you divorce Dad? Why was he not a part of my life? What happened? And she plainly stated to me, she said, your father was not willing to take a role in his children's life. He didn't want any part of it. He was with multiple women. He was with, and he had kids, and he just completely abandoned them. He did not want any part of being a father. And that, when I heard it hit me hard at the time. But looking back, and especially with me now being a Christian and looking back on it, I think it was for the best. I really, and that's not, it's not saying it, because I over the years even tried, we tried a couple times to reconcile after one of my uncles passed away when I was in my senior year of high school. We tried, he came to the funeral and we tried to reconcile and we tried to do different things with each other. But it never really clicked. It never got to a level of full on, forgiveness and understanding. And I did say that I forgave Dad for his mistakes when I was younger, but I never really just could develop a full relationship with him. It was just so hard at that point. Like like the time had passed too long, and I never really could, get a full on relationship. And then I tried to reach out to him again after that for to email him and whatnot, and he wouldn't respond. So I felt like that moment was just like a fleeting attempt to, in passing. And then after that, we would just go back into that same state of forgetfulness. So at that point, I thought to myself, well, if he's not going to make a full effort, then neither am I. So again, to me, it was for the best. And people still ask me this day, like, you know, oh, do you talk to your father? Do you reach out to him? And I honestly tell him no, because I think at this point that the ship has sailed. I don't think there's really a chance for us to really have a full on relationship at this point, because it's just my mom has just done a great job on her own, raising me and supporting me and looking out for me. That, you know, like I said, if he's not going to make an effort, you know, why should I? So, yeah, but so difficult topic, but one that I'm glad the show took on and touched on, because it does hit a lot of it hit home with a lot of people. I mentioned the song. The song was really good. Not my favorite song of the season. So far, nothing beats "Friendship Always Wins" from the premiere yet. That so far is the best song of the season thus far, but it does stand well on its own. Twilight is more of an accessory in this episode, I have to say. Twilight is just more of an accessory. She's more of a side. It's a different role for her than other, you know, episodes, and we kind of see that again in episode 9 as well. But I adore the fact that hippogriffs like adore her so much, and in a way that's kind of a quick forgiveness. Like, you know, it's so surprising that they forgave her so quick, because after, I don't know, attempted pearl robbery. Did we forget about that from the movie, huh? The movie's canon. Did we forget about that? That she kind of, you know, tried to steal the pearl from their kingdom? But apparently when you save a kingdom, I guess that's all glossed over. And it's like, oh, you know, you're amazing now, Twilight. So I don't know. It just seemed odd to me. But in the end, though, again, we do get a really good resolution again in the end. You know, eventually, you know, Twilight comes in again. It's like, you know, why did because the CMCs admit that it was, you know, their fault. It was, you know, Sweet School admit it was their fault for leading Terramar away. And Twilight's like, well, who said that Terramar had to choose? Who, you know, actually, really, nobody did. Terramar just felt in his own mind that he had to choose. So, you know, that's what, you know, the CMCs automatically thought, okay, well, we got to make him choose. So, but then Sweetie Belle comes up with an idea to get him to come back. I thought it was kind of neat that he was just kind of sitting alone in a tree. I thought that was really, really interesting, because think about it, Terramar, the name combines Terra, land, Mar, sea. So hence the dilemma. So in the end, the solution is the hippogriffs have a big get-together on the beach. Everyone from Mount Eris, Sense Equestria, everyone's there. Every griff is there. And eventually Terramar's parents even do see each other, and they do seem happy. So again, makes you wonder how often they do see each other, but here they're very cordial. They're very, you know, respectful to each other. But then when Terramar's dad, Skybeak, realizes his son's feelings after Twilight, you know, lets him know what's going on, he and Oceanflow, who's Terramar's mom, they apologize to their son. They say, hey, we shouldn't have forced you to choose. You know, we never should have put you in that position, son. You know, we both love you. You know, and you don't have to choose. You can keep doing what you're doing. You can go back and forth between worlds if you want to. It's perfectly okay. No one is making you choose at all. So, great ending to the episode. You can enjoy the best of both worlds, and the CMCs complete their mission. So, yay. Good on that. Great episode. 9 out of 10. But then, in my opinion, we get the best episode of the season thus far. Episode 7, Horseplay. The only episode so far this season I've given a perfect 10 out of 10 stars to. Try to find a flaw in this episode, honestly. I can't find a one, because this episode was just so much fun. Because, for one reason, Princess Celestia. I mean, she is absolutely incredible. Nicole Oliver had to have such a blast recording this episode, because, you know, not excusing the fact that she can't act in this episode being downright hilarious. And then Twilight, though, on the opposite side, Twilight, it really kind of isn't great in this episode, because she forgets that honesty really is the best policy. And then her freak out at the end was just epic. One of the best episodes in the season, one of the best episodes of the series, honestly. So, notable observation from the episode for me. We get an oddly specific reference to how many times Celestia's raised the sun, her 1,111th time. So her one's versary, if you will. Very, very interesting to get an actual number of that. So, and of course, someone like Twilight would keep track of that. So, you know, being the nerd, I guess, that she is, she would definitely keep track of that. And Celestia then, about Twilight holding the play, the prance moment on the throne and then across the throne, that was just adorable. I think it's great that Celestia had like a hobby, like with the theater. I think that's really cool. She was passionate about it, and even though she didn't get a chance to actually be in the plays, she was passionate about it you know, she said she was too busy with the magical studies. Gee, I wonder who that reminds us of. You know, who does that remind us of? So, and then, you know, the first time we see Celestia eavesdropping on Twilight's conversations, like off the side with Spike or what have you, it's hilarious the first time we see it. But then when it happens later in the episode, it not only makes for a poignant moment when Celestia is upset, but it's a gem of timing. It's like it's just seen in two different ways when it happens. The first time it's humorous, it's hilarious, it's funny. The second time it happens, it's like, oh, Twilight really screwed up here. So two different wavelengths on how to eavesdrop in a conversation. So Celestia playing herself in a play with no acting experience whatsoever. What could possibly go wrong, right? Yeah, famous last word. Kind of a famous last words vibe there. Also, so after that, then so then everyone there, the main five are there, and Starlight's there, and they're all excited that they get to hold their play. But then when Twilight breaks the news that Celestia's going to be in it as the lead, of course that gets Rainbow Dash excited, and everyone else starts upping their intensity. Rarity changes the costumes, and Pinky breaks out Big Bertha, this huge freaking party cannon. And then Dash decides to be like kind of like the messenger to spread the word to every pony. Hey, Celestia's going to be in the play. So she does a nice little mini rain boom out of that. Those are getting really easy for her to do, by the way. And then we get the burn of the episode. From Glimmy herself, the continued voice of reason, voice of honesty. Are you sure that maybe you should have been the element of honesty instead of Applejack? We get the burn from her, like, because she's like, you know, imagine doing sweaty wars with the princess, blowing your nose in front of a princess, or even talking to a princess. And Twilight goes, well, I'm a princess. You talk to me. And Starlight goes, that's different. You're not a princess. It was just an honest, sick burn. It was just on it. Just a nasty, honest burn, but true. It was great stuff. I mean, but if you think about it, what does that imply? Like, does she have does Starlight Glimmer have like a ranking system for all the princesses? Does that mean even that Flirty Heart is above Twilight here? I mean, because so you got to think, okay, Celestia and Luna are here, you know, and then like maybe Cadence is down here, or Flirty Heart's here, and then Twilight's here, Cadence or flip flop. You know, what does that imply? That's interesting in terms of Starlight. But another voice of reason in this episode is Applejack. And of course, being the element of honesty, she's trying to be the voice of reason in this episode because she's trying to tell Twilight, hey, you got to tell Celestia the truth about how bad of an actress she is. She even admitted to she has no acting experience, and yet you make her as the lead in this play, and it's showing on stage, and she's absolutely terrible. You have to tell her the truth. But you kind of get a sense that Twilight's just not going to take that road until it came out in her final freakout, of course. Because she really doesn't want to hurt Celestia's feelings. She's so now committed. She feels like she's committed now to this. She's made a promise. You know, Celestia's going to be in our play. You know, she's committed to this now. She doesn't want to let Celestia down by telling her how bad she is. So Twilight feels like really like between a rock and a hard place. She really feels stuck in this moment. pardon the YouTube pun, and she can't get out of it. She's kind of like, if I tell her that she's bad, I'll be a bad friend. But if I let her go on stage as a bad actress, it'll be worse. So she's really, really torn up over this. But it's like Celestia said later, if she had taught her anything about friendship, it is the truth and honesty are important. And that was key in the end of the episode. It was nice to see our student 6, but again, we only see them for a brief moment. We only see them in brief moments in this episode in the play, during the rehearsal, and then during the actual play itself. And this was, this kind of was starting to kind of irk me a bit. We only get to see them in brief moments. They don't even have a speaking role in this episode. They're just doing, the parts in the play. And, at this point, it's like, okay, they're so heavily shown in the premiere of the series. They were mentioned so much on Equestria Daily, but now it's like they were kind of like pushed to the back burner a bit. Like we're really not getting to see a whole lot of them. And it's nice they take on that role of the pillars in the play. That was cool, but it was just awkward. None of them got speaking roles. Just kind of weird, but just a minor blip on the radar. Kind of frustrating, yes, but a minor blip. But then of course Celestia doing the acting. She goes from underacting to overacting with a real Canterlot voice in 10 seconds flat, literally. It was funny to watch. Like I said, Nicole Auber must have had a blast just recording this episode. So the dilemma here between either telling Celestia the truth, having the play go on with her still in it, or canceling the play, that's really intense. That's an intense dilemma on Twilight's mind. But Twilight's not going to take the honest way out, nor the easiest, because she's being kind of stubborn here. And the fact she just looks up to Celestia so much, and she doesn't want to disrespect her or hurt her feelings. She really wants to keep her promise to her. So she goes to great lengths to keep making this happen, including going as far as to give Celestia acting lessons. Oh, yeah. From two the theater ponies from Manhattan, from On Stage and Raspberry Beret. Prince reference much? So while that's going on, then Pinkie Pie is trying to find a replacement for the sun that they had to rise out of the stage, because when Celestia accidentally tossed Star Swirl's, played by Sambar's, hat tossed it aside, it got one of the levers and it dropped the students down to the trap door and smashed the sun in the process. So Pinkie's going to try to find a replacement for that, and that happens with hilarious results. And we get a back and forth between Twilight checking in on Celestia's acting lessons and the sun replacement. And then Pinkie tries a balloon. I think that pops. She then tries a burnt marshmallow. That backfires, which I think leads to the what leads to the freak out is the fireworks that she illegally bought from Trixie in a back alley. There's got to be some story behind that or something. So, by the way, also something else to point out during the acting lessons, the way Celestia sits in that scene is adorable. Take that, Lyra. Sorry. Just the way she sat it reminded me of Lyra so much. And Celestia, by the way, also apparently has zero imagination, because she kind of thinks like me. She takes everything kind of literally. Like, it's not that I don't have imagination, but it's like I also kind of sometimes think with a literal mind. Like if you tell me something or say something to me and I can't picture it in my head, I'll take it literally. Like, oh, you literally meant that? Like, that's the way I think. Twilight's faces in this episode, by the way, are incredible. We had Rainbow's great faces a couple episodes ago. Twilight's faces in this episode are to die for. Absolutely incredible. So after the Trixie firework ball explodes, yes, that's a thing. A lot going on at once to process. But the cutest, if you notice in front, and some ponies did notice, is Starlight is petting a scared Fluttershy in the front like a scared dog. just the cutest thing. Like, I couldn't believe that was going on, but it was. So that was funny. But in the end, though, again, after that happens, and Twilight has her freak out, and then actually Celestia hears how bad of an actress she was. Celestia, of course, is upset with Twilight, big shocker, for not being honest with her. Not the fact that she was, upset, about, telling she was a bad actress, is that she wasn't honest from the start. But we do, in the end, get a nice resolution between Twilight and Celestia and the clouds in the end. That was perfect. It was very, very neat to see that. Twilight finally coming from being at the forefront and saying, okay, I screwed up, I messed up, I should have told you from the start, but I just didn't want to upset you. And Celestia then says, didn't Applejack teach you anything about honesty? Didn't she tell you to be honest with me? And Twilight's like, yeah, probably a good 1,000 times, but now it's like, well, the play's ruined. And she's like, well, maybe not, and Twilight eventually says, yeah, you're a bad actress, but I am a princess, so we can try to fix this. And so then Celestia goes from being lead actress instead to being more stage director, which great role for her. Much better stage manager than an actress. So she then assigns everybody different roles. Spike's now the narrator. Starlight gets a copy of the script ready, and Fluttershy, of all ponies, now gets to play that lead role as Celestia. And at first, of course, that stage fright comes back from her, but then eventually Celestia, great director moment, directs her, gets her through it, and eventually she does. And also, Luna's ticked off at the end, but eventually they never found a replacement son, but Celestia raises it one time in the end at a cool moment in the end. So that was awesome. And then, of course, at the end, Celestia is scaring every pony to death with her troll skills when she said she was stepping down from the throne to be in theater forever. And then came back with, gotcha. Maybe I'm not such a bad actress after all. Great troll moment in the end. So, yes, 10 out of 10. Awesome episode. Loved it, loved it, loved it. Best episode of the season thus far. Episode 8, then, we had the parent map. Now, this one intrigued right away with the title because, obviously, map, implying that there's another map episode, the cutie map, which is very, very cool, and parent. And that, of course, then signals, well, we've seen a lot of parents so far. There's only a few left we really haven't dived into that we haven't seen. So where's this direction going to go? I gave this one 8 out of 10 stars. A tough act to follow from the last episode, but decent episode, but not one that I'm going to really remember in the long run. Except for the fact that, of course, that Starlight and Sunburst are together in this episode, which is always awesome to see those two together in an episode, especially, of course, after I met Kelly and Ian at Winning City. And, of course, the fact that I got to reconcile with their parents, which was awesome. I got to check something off my wish list because on my wish list, remember, Starlight's parents were a late addition to my wish list. At least we get to see her dad. So that still is a mystery of her mom, but we do get to see her dad, Firelight, which is awesome. And we get to see Sunburst's mom, Stellar Flare. Now, again, we don't know, and so we don't get to see his dad either. Now, of course, we did really see his dad in the flashback, so we don't know what happened to him either. So, but check off my list at least for Starlight's side of things. That was awesome. So observation from this episode. Again, I'll always say it's nice to see Starlight and Sunburst together in an episode. They're now two of my favorite characters. I mean, Starlight already was from the last couple seasons, but Sunburst is definitely growing on me. And of course, I met again meeting Kelly and Ian. That was a bonus this year at Winning City. Sunburst's reaction to his cutie mark glowing, that was just straight up like adorkable. Literally, I put that here. Adorkable. I mean, it was just so awesome with the why am I yelling? That was awesome. Like my cutie mark is glowing. It's like it was just so awesome to see that. Sunburst is just so great. So yeah, the cutie map continues to branch out to ponies outside of the main 6, which is just so cool. Now the first time it's called a pony outside of Ponyville. So because we're now at the Crystal Empire where Sunburst of course lives. So very, very cool. And I guess in a way it was inevitable because we've seen the map branch out so far to other creatures and ponies, and it's like I guess this was bound to happen at some point. But then, Sunburst comes to the castle and also sees Starlight there, and so he's excited that they're going on a mission together, but Starlight's not really fully vested in it, and that kind of catches Sunburst off guard at first. Like, I'm sorry, are you not excited to go on a mission with me? She goes, no. And then Sunburst, poor Sunburst, and I'm like, oh really? And she's like, no, not the fact that I'm going with you. That's awesome, but where we're going. And he's like, yep, Sire's Hollow. And then Starlight's like, yep, home. Ugh. You can tell right then and there that this is going to be a very tough episode. Yeah, this is going to be a tough one. So here's kind of the skinny. Starlight's dad, Firelight, treats her like a filly. Like, he really doesn't treat her like a grown-up, like a grown mare. And just kind of keeps calling her these pet names, like Punky Wumpkin. That was definitely, and Starlight goes, Dad, you promised no Punky Wumpkins in public. And Sunburst, of course, laughs to that. So kind of like Rarity and Forever Philly, just kind of treats her with that mentality. But Sunburst's mom, on the polar opposite, is very controlling, very planny, kind of like has a plan for everything. You got to have a plan for every situation you're in. You got to be prepared. Kind of like Applejack and Some Pony to Watch Over Me, where she's just, so like, I gotta be there for you. I gotta protect you. I gotta look out for you. Got to make sure you're safe and protected and prepared for anything. So at least in this way, they can relate to each other here as well, because they both have a parent that's kind of like gets on the nerves a bit, kind of drives them crazy. So that's why they're not so fond of Sire's Hollow, because their parents are like, ugh, kind of driving them nuts. And then the town itself is just kind of had this weird vibe to it. But again, that's probably because both of these ponies, Firelight and Stellar Flare, had a different approach to how they wanted to run the town. Firelight wanted to preserve things, start the Preservation Society to kind of be like preserving. Don't be too outside the box crazy. Just keep things where they are. Stellar Flare wanted to be like more like a development, like as she mentioned, kind of turn into a shopping mall, kind of with different with the Essence pony spraying the perfume and then the smoothies and all that. So she was very much developmental. So they had two very different perspectives. The Essence pony kind of creeped me out a bit, I'm not gonna lie. A little bit, just a little bit. Not like full on creepy, but just by just spraying it in ponies' faces. That just kind of creeped me out. And then on Firelight's side, like a library where you can't touch the books. Don't take Twilight there. All right, alert, alert, alert. Don't under any circumstance bring Twilight here to this town. That's for sure. So I gotta say though, I gravitated toward Firelight a lot more than I do Stellar Flare. I liked him more, probably because I'm biased toward liking Starlight more, but I did like his character a little bit more. I really didn't like Stellar Flare. She kind of gave off the vibe of you being kind of haughty, arrogant, uppity with the whole plan thing. It's not, and with me, it's not like I'm not a planned individual. I try to be prepared for things and plan in the best way possible, but I know that it's not going to go like perfectly. Like I know that there are times where plans may fail or may have to be changed due to other circumstances or what have you. So while yes, it's good in some instances to have plans for things, there are times where that might not go completely perfectly because you have to change things up. So, but you also, when it comes to planning, you shouldn't have someone do everything for you. You should, kind of like in Sunburst's case, he should be able to make his own plans. Not that his mother can't assist, but not do the whole plan herself. And that's what was kind of getting under Sunburst's hide for a bit. I don't know, getting Sunburst's skin a bit. So, but again, as I mentioned, it begs the question, though, what happened to Starlight's mom and or Sunburst's dad, because we did see Sunburst's dad briefly in the QD remark. So just kind of begs the question into what happened. So on the surface, it appears that the reason the map called Starlight and Sunburst back home is because these two are bickering over how they want to run Sire's Hollow and trying to get them to be friends because they have such divided ideas. But when they finally decide, okay, I might have gone too crazy on my idea and I might have been a little too much on my idea, they agree to work together. No glowing cutie marks. So that means, aka, no success. That wasn't the problem they needed to solve. So it must be something else. So then, of course, their parents are like, oh, well, we got to now help you guys figure this out. We got to, because, Firelight then gets, oh, I got to spend more time with Starlight. And then Stellar Flare's like, we got to, we can't let you guys fail because, how are you going to report to Twilight on failing a friendship mission, or we don't run out of time. But December's like, Mom, there's no time limit, Mom. We don't need to do that. That's not how it works. But she's not listening. She's not understanding how this all works. So it's got to be something else. So maybe it's like, could it be their relationships with their parents could be the problem? And in the end, that is the problem. And actually, Nate, when Nate and I watched the episode, he called it. He said that's exactly what the problem is. It's the fact that they're not, they have to fix this already broken relationship they have with their parents. So it's safe to say that Sire's Hollow is pretty bad when it comes to selling its wares as well. And our duo experiences it all with hilarious results and faces as well. I told Nate actually that he could really totally relate to Stellar Flare's treatment of Sunburst because that's pretty much how his mom actually treats him in real life. Breathing down his neck, not giving him much in the way of independent freedom to make plans on his own. So I told him he could kind of relate to that. And we also briefly saw a pony that we thought actually looked like Charlie, like the head of Winnie City and Ciderfest and the vice chair of High Roller. There's a pony that actually kind of has a beard that kind of looks kind of like Charlie, but it's actually, we later found out on Question Daily, I read the follow-up, it's actually the OC of a Hasbro toy maker, so that's good to know. But in the end, their Firelight and Stellar think they're giving really good help to them, but eventually it just gets to a point where eventually Starlight and Sunburst have had enough. They actually go off on their parents, like kind of like what Rainbow did in Parental Guidance, like yelling at them, telling them that they don't want their help, they need to do this on their own. So they then separate for a minute, and then they realize, oh, wait, we got to fix this now. We got to reconcile with them. That is the problem. So eventually they go through the reconciliation. They then they apologize for, avoiding coming home. And Firelight says, well, I just wanted you to feel safe. I just wanted you to, feel like, when you were young. I wanted you to, it was hard for you when you left home and went through all that. It makes me wonder if Firelight knows what happened with Starlight in her village. It makes me wonder if he really knows what happened. I doubt he does. And then Sunburst apologizes to his mom and says, I'm sorry that I went off with all these plans and everything, but I need to figure things out on my own. And Stellar then quickly realizes, I felt bad when you flunked out of magic school, and I wanted you to just feel like if you had a plan, you would have been okay. But Sunburst says, I got to figure things out on my own, Mom. I'll be fine. So we do get a good resolution in the end when they reconcile with them. That was a winning payoff in the end. Tough to watch this episode at times with the parents being kind of cringy and then that moment where they had to stand up to them. But winning payoff in the end. Decent episode. Likely it won't be in the upper echelon of the season, but the last 3 episodes with 5, 6, and 7 were great. Maybe it was time for a bit of a clunker. But still, it had its heartfelt moments. Starlight and Sunburst don't disappoint in the episode, and they didn't, but everything else surrounding it kind of did. But if that was a clunker, we had a really, really, really bad one last week. Non-compete clause, episode 9, is my second worst episode of the season. Only barely ahead of Fake It Till You Make It. and only because the student 6 were the stars of the episode. Applejack and Rainbow Dash made it pretty bad with their behavior, but the fact that the student 6 shined so much, that kind of saved the episode. For Figuratively and Make It, I couldn't find much in the way of positives. This one, at least with the students, that again somewhat saved the episode. But I read on Twitter right away. I didn't get spoiled by anything beforehand because again I didn't watch the spoilers, the leaks, or anything. So I found the title issue right away. But I gathered in the fandom that people really hated this episode, and after watching it, I quickly saw why. So right off the bat, here we go. Rainbow Dash is rushing in. They're doing a staff meeting. So so we get to see the school friendship right away, which is great. So we know it's going to be hopefully a school episode. Finally get to see the students again, which we did. So yay, that was awesome. And they're doing a Teacher of the Month announcement, and already Rainbow and Applejack are already bantering. So I'm thinking, oh boy, is this competition gonna rear its ugly head again? We already saw it in Fall Weather Friends back in season 1, and it's like, yeah, it looks like it's gonna rear its ugly head again. So I point out here, nice to see the School of Friendship again, long time. Seeing Yona and Silverstream there briefly, like, will we see more of them, please? And Fluttershy keeps winning Teacher of the Month. Honestly, I can't say I'm surprised. Who would not love to be in Fluttershy's class? I mean, she's sweet. She's a sweetheart. What more can you say? So then we get a teamwork field trip from the giant book that Twilight wrote about the school. Amazing to see Spike handle that, by the way. And of course, Applejack and Rainbow Dash both think they are qualified because of their everyday jobs. Applejack being on the farm at Sweet Apple Acres with the whole teamwork aspect, but Rainbow Dash being on the Wonderbolts. That epitomizes teamwork, as I mentioned when I posted to Twitter why I like the Wonderbolts is because of that teamwork aspect, which now, by the way, my comments are posted in the barracks, which is awesome. And that's not wrong, but of course, one thinks their method's better than the other, of course, butting their heads. And of course, then Fluttershy suggests they lead the field trip together. Gee, I wonder how that's going to go. And Twilight goes, well, I know you've been competitive in the past, but I'm sure you won't let that get in the way of quality teamwork education. Again, famous last words from Twilight Sparkle. Because those smiles they give then were just like devious. Those devious smiles like, yeah, we're not going to screw this up, are we? No way. We're not going to compete. No, not at all. Well, you knew that they were. But then we get to see the student 6. Yes. So finally we get to see them again. Awesome. Great stuff. And then, again, another new writer with Kim Bayer-Johnson's first episode. So a lot of new writers. Great to see this season. But this episode, though, kind of left a bitter taste a little bit. So, yeah, I think this is going to go swimmingly. They decide then to do 2 different activities, but one likes it and the other not so much because Applejack suggests, hey, let's do apple shed building. Rainbow Dash is like, no, we're going to do river canoeing. Okay. And of course, not so much. So, and the students quickly pick up the vibe. Like they're not. These students aren't stupid. Like our student 6 is pretty smart. They're not exactly showing the teamwork concept with these 2. They're kind of quickly picking up like their button heads here. And then with the shed building, Rainbow kicks it up a notch by building a shed in 10 seconds flat. Literally, like season 1, episode 1. Remind us of that, And then, of course, like AJ's line, just because it's fast doesn't mean it's good. But the students were impressed. I mean, they were pretty impressed that it was built pretty quick. And Smolder goes, yeah, this isn't awkward at all. Like, thank you, Smolder, for being our voice of reason. That's why I love Smolder. She's really the smart one, along with Ocellus, who also shines in this episode by all the different forms she takes in this episode, which is just straight up awesome. And Yona's face in that moment, oh my gosh. When even you're taking off Yona, things are going sour. And then when they're putting the roof on the shed, and Apple and AJ is doing, you know, all the different movements to try to get Smolder and Gallus to set it just right, Rainbow just goes into that impatient moment again. You should have seen that coming from Granny's Gone Wild. You know, smooth Rainbow, you know. So they drop the roof, and they scares Yona, who drops the string, who drops the roof, smashes the shed. Real smooth, Rainbow. You have no patience in your body whatsoever. None. But after that disaster, it's on to the river canoeing. And Rainbow Dash wants the group to set a record. Why? I mean, honestly, why? What does that? Number one, what does that have to do with anything? You know, why try to set a record? What does that have to do with teamwork at all? And what could possibly go wrong with that? You know. So once again, we see an example here where the students on their own. We saw it in the premiere when they learned all these lessons of friendship just from, you know, playing hooky, literally, when they were doing all the things with the race and the near the pond or near the lake. The students are learning things more on their own than their own professors. Like, is this going to be like a recurring theme throughout the season? They're learning more about teamwork in these moments that they're having, you know, trying to, you know, helping each other with the shed building, and then, you know, getting Yona, and then Ocellus telling Yona, when I get scared to do something I don't want to do, I whistle. So that helps Yona out. And then Gallus and Smolder getting Yona into the boat. They're doing teamwork already. Why do they have to learn this? Their professors can't learn it. Why are, you know, don't even, you know, again, they're learning things on their own. And then when they actually get in the boat for the canoeing, Rainbow Dash then decides to become fire, because she just goes, you know, Stroke, put your backs into it, newbies. You're, you know, Dash, no, you're not Captain Spitfire. They're not trainees. Jeez. Get a grip. And then, of course, they're not even moving because Rainbow's doing the quick process and AJ's doing the slow and steady, which is normally how she does it. And they're not moving because different speeds. So now I also will admit Sandbar is also becoming a very strong candidate here for Voice of Reason, even though I still find his presence still somewhat odd. He's a very strong candidate for Voice of Reason because he tries to snap AJ and Rainbow Dash out of their fighting to determine which way to go in the river splits, either left or right, because, you know, the finish line's on the left side. There's also these Bitacuda fish that have these bat wings and these really sharp teeth, or the right is clear. But they keep bickering over that, and then eventually they run straight forward, bam, rock slam into a rock. So canoe is done, no chance of the record, and Yona nearly drowns. Wow. Because she loses her life jacket in the process, and AJ and Rainbow don't even notice it, don't even bother, just drowns, and real smooth. But thank goodness for Ocellus and Silverstream, literally saving her life. You know, Silverstream transforming, and then Ocellus becoming a sea pony briefly. And so, yeah, in that moment, I'm like, okay, now you got people kind of load this episode because you nearly let a student drown. Wow. And then who, of course, would show up at that perfect moment but Twilight. And it's like, how is the field trip going? And how's the canoeing going? And then Smolder goes, as well as the apple shed building. And Twilight definitely does not like the fact that they are competing again, that they thought they were past this. So she is putting her hoof down, and she is taking over this field trip. But then we kind of get like a rushed climax, which I thought, again, was really bad. Like, you know, because AJ's like, whoa, wait, Twilight, you should have seen how Rainbow got motivated to build a shed because she built it so fast. But then Rainbow's like, no, AJ, you're the one that they listened to. And then, well, you did really also save us from those fish. Are we not going to tell her that Yona nearly drowned? Are we not going to bring that point up to Twilight? We're not going to mention that at all? No, just going to brush that under the rug like it never freaking happened? Okay. So Twilight amazingly agrees to give him a second chance, but she's going to pick the next activity they do, a nature walk. And she goes, you can't possibly screw that up, right? Don't say that. You never say that. Don't say that. Because now we know what's going to happen. They're going to screw it up somehow. And lo and behold, that's what happens. Because now, instead of arguing with each other and competing, they're now like agreeing to disagree. Like they're agreeing too much. Like, they can't even agree on what direction to go again when there's a fork in the road again. It's like good grief. Like, if I'm happy, you're happy. No, you can go that way. It's up to you. Like, come on, just frustrating. So then they're doing this kind of Scooby-Doo chase scene. They're getting lost in the the cliff there in the forest area. And for a moment, like, and it's only for a split second, but it kind of caught my eye a bit. Like, and I don't know if it's just because that they kept seeing the same stuff over and over again. But for a brief second, like, Sandbar hesitates, like just for a brief second. So I'm like, why did he hesitate there? There was nothing there to see. Why did he hesitate? That kind of was interesting to me for a minute. But yeah, totally awkward moment. So then eventually they get to after going around in circles like 5 times, they get to the end of this cliff, and then there's this smolder finally goes up and says, well, okay, the school's right over there. We can get there before it gets dark. If we just go across the ravine, we're home free. And and it's like. Then AJ thinks we should build a bridge. You can build a bridge to get across. It'll be okay. And then she's like, unless it's okay with you, Rainbow Dash. And then Gallus, of course, is like, stop. Listen, if we can just fly everyone over and we'll be done. Thank you, Gallus. Thank you for being sensible. But nope, they decided to build a bridge anyway. And I was thinking, okay, let me guess. The students are going to use the vines and the branches together to build the bridge, while AJ and Rainbow continue to cooperate, or at least agree to disagree. That would have been the perfect resolution, but nope. No, they build 2 separate bridges, with AJ building the one out of vines and Rainbow building the other one out of branches because at this point. So the students just watch, being bored, seeing these two go at it and trying to think the best solution. But then in the end, they both end up, how fitting, stuck in their own mess, stuck together, hanging over the water because Rainbow's branch bridge collapses on top of AJ's vine bridge, and they get both stuck in it. Metaphor for the entire episode right there. Just a picture, just a screenshot of Rainbow and AJ hanging over the water, trapped in the ball of vines and branches in their own mess. That's the metaphor for the episode. Just screenshot that. That's the metaphor for the whole episode. Getting caught in their own mess. In Gallus, sometimes your brutal honesty makes sense. Ocellus is like Sandbar and Ocellus, we got to get our professors out of there fast. Any pony, any creature have an idea? And Gallus is like, leave him hanging. And so she's like, what? And Gallus is like, I'm kidding. Kinda. Just awesome. So, but the student 6 do eventually save the day with teamwork, of course. Ocellus distracts the Bitacudas down below by becoming one herself and scaring them away. Eventually, as it comes down, Gallus and Silverstream lift him up, and then Jonas, Sandbar, and Smolder pull break the branches and pull the vines off. So yeah, they do it with teamwork, and then at the end, Ocellus scaring Gallus at the end of her saying, if Gallus is like, yeah, those fish weren't even a thing. But then Ocellus is like, he's like, that was awesome too. So yeah, in the end, the students got it, but only because they did it the wrong way. It worked, but it was kind of like, as Gallus said, crazy genius. It was like in an awkward fashion. The student 6 in this episode are the real stars. AJ and Rainbow lose a lot of points here. Like I said, not fake it till you make it bad, but second worst of the season. Had its qualities, the student 6 shine, but for the most part, pretty bad with AJ and Rainbow, just the way they act. So yeah, that's the take on the last 5 episodes. We have a new episode tomorrow, which I will remember to record tonight on DVR, by the way. So, in fact, I'm going to do that right now. That way I don't forget. Let's see. Where are you? There we go. Let's see. Because I won't be able to watch tomorrow because I work early in the morning. We got the Breakup Breakdown. Ooh, that's another intrigue. We've had some intriguing titles this season. That's really interesting. Okay, well, and no episode preview, so no spoilers here. So all right, that is set to record. So hopefully you get to watch that probably on Sunday on my day off. So so we had a nice little blend of episodes there. We had a great one in episode 5. Actually, 3 great ones in episodes 5 through 7. All really great episodes. And then the last 2 have been, 8 was good, not great, and then 9 was just like numbingly bad. So hopefully episode 10 tomorrow kind of gets us back on a positive track, because we kind of need it at this point after a really kind of rough episode 9. Let's see. So, okay, what else? I'll talk briefly about Sensation. As I mentioned in my Winning City PonyCon recap, I bought Vivid Syntax's book that he recently published called Sensation. I am now, I think, about 16 chapters into it so far. It's a long book. It's 500 plus pages, so it's really in depth. It's a really in depth story. I'm not going to go into too much detail because I don't want to ruin it for anyone who hasn't bought the book yet. But I'm really liking this story. I really like the way Vivid spins the story. I like the way he presents it. Being told from one character's perspective, but then flashing back to the interview style between Vivid's OC and Soren. Seeing different characters, different situations. I like the way it's presented. When I read a story, I like to picture in my mind, that I'm a very vivid thinker. I like to see what's going on in the story as I read it, and then just picture it in my mind. So I can really see what's going on as I'm reading the story. And then also there have been times when after I read a chapter, a certain song comes into my mind that defines that chapter. So I've made notes throughout as I've read. There's a certain chapter remind me of a certain song. I had a couple chapters where it's been really emotional. I think for one chapter I picked "Unbreak My Heart" by Toni Braxton. Another I picked "Forget Me Nots" by Patrice Rushen. There was another I picked "Break My Stride" by Matthew Wilder. So there have been just a lot of kind of a roller coaster of emotions in this story. So there's a lot that goes on. There's a lot to follow, but it's easy to follow, and Vivid just makes it very, very simplified. The way he tells a story, the way he uses his words and context, the way he describes scenes and characters and situations, it's very well done. So I applaud Vivid Syntax for how he's done this story, and I look forward to diving into it more. I haven't had much time to go further into it this week because, again, with the weather and everything being all crazy, but as I get deeper into the story, it's getting really good, and I look forward to diving in more to it and really getting into it because it's really good. I really like the way the story is going so far, so really like that. And then a couple sports things to end here. NHL playoffs are going on, of course, and gotten really exciting. My bracket is completely busted at this point. First time ever, I had all 6 of the teams that I follow in the playoffs in the same year. That had never happened before when I had all 6 in, but it happened this year with the Avalanche, the Ducks, the Sharks, the Penguins, the Lightning, and the Predators all in the playoffs. And some of them were very high seeds, in fact, with Tampa Bay being a 1, Nashville being the overall number 1 seed with winning the President's Trophy in the regular season. The Penguins, I think, were a 2 seed. The Sharks were a 3. The Ducks were a 2, and Colorado was a wild card. So unfortunately, I had to have a few of my teams play each other in the first round because Nashville beat Colorado in the first round in 6 games. And the Sharks swept the Ducks in 4, so that was absolutely very impressive by San Jose. But now we are down to just 4 teams left. We are down to the conference finals at this point, and the only team left that I have left are the Tampa Bay Lightning. Nashville was bested by Winnipeg in a thrilling 7-game series, and I applaud Winnipeg for the job that they did in that series. I knew that Winnipeg would be a very tough matchup for the Nashville Predators because of the way that their offense is. A very good goaltender in Connor Hellebuck. That they don't make a whole lot of mistakes. So I knew that would be a tough matchup for Nashville. So I knew they could go either way. But it went the distance. It went the full 7 games. And usually the road teams usually done really well in these respective series. You'll find that really home ice advantage isn't big this year, except if you're the Vegas Golden Knights, who have course been the surprise of the NHL this season in their expansion year. Vegas has yet to lose at home in the playoffs, which is something outstanding. And they're playing Winnipeg tonight in Game 4, actually. I think they're playing right now, actually. Let's see how they're doing at the moment. It is already 1-0 Vegas here in the second period. Yep. I can't say I'm surprised. So, because Vegas has become, T-Mobile Arena has become the new Fort Never Lose. And I tweeted this last night, they just don't lose at home. They're just, that environment is just so difficult to play in, and the atmosphere is crazy, and it's just so intense. They just find a way to do really well at home. So it is very tough to win in Vegas, and they might take that all the way to the Stanley Cup final. And who knows? They are no longer a fluke. They could potentially win it all. So do not be surprised in the slightest if Vegas goes all the way. But they're up 2-1 on Winnipeg right now. Of course, Vegas swept the Kings in the first round and then beat San Jose in 6, and technically won it 5-1. They actually, I don't know why the NHL gave them a 6th game when the series was already over. Maybe just make Vegas look better or look good. I don't know. Hashtag NHL conspiracy. But first time ever a series was won 5-1. Okay, interesting. But Vegas right now leads 2-1 over Winnipeg, and they right now could potentially go up here 3-1 if they win tonight over Winnipeg. And Marc-Andre Fleury, I don't know how he is not a Vezina Trophy finalist. Don't get me wrong, the 3 that are finalists, Pekka Rinne, Connor Hellebuck, and Andre Vasilevsky from Tampa Bay, and Rinne from Nashville, of course. We're all outstanding the regular season, but I don't know, how you could leave Fleury out of that, because he has just been absolutely outstanding in these playoffs, outstanding all season for Vegas, and a critical part of their success. So they are going to be a force, and they've already been a force all season long. And then in the East, you got Tampa Bay and Washington. Now, Washington, of course, has been a surprise all playoffs as well, because in the first round, they were down 2-0 to the Columbus Blue Jackets, and I thought they were really in danger of losing that series. But then Washington bounced back and won 4 straight games to win that series. And then they got past their nemesis. They got past the 2-time defending Stanley Cup champion, my Pittsburgh Penguins. They got past them in 6 games, including winning twice in Pittsburgh. So that was huge for the Washington Capitals to finally get by their nemesis. But now they really tested the Tampa Bay Lightning here as well. Washington won the first 2 games of the series easily in Tampa, 2 and 6-2. But the Lightning have bounced back the last 2 games because Washington tends to struggle at home as well, and they lost the last 2 games to Tampa, both by 4-2 scores. So now it's a series. Now it's tied 2 games apiece. Now it's a best-of-3 series. Tampa has home ice advantage back, although it may not mean much if they can't win on home ice in Tampa. So that series now is up for grabs. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. I'm really hoping that the Lightning pull it out. I don't know how I feel if Tampa faces Vegas in the Stanley Cup final, because that's going to be a very tricky matchup, especially if Tampa can't win in Vegas. That's going to be really, really, really tricky. So I would much rather see Tampa play Winnipeg, but it's the way Vegas is playing at home and the way they're dominating, it may not look like it at this point. So I'm really, really worried about that down the line. So originally I had Nashville winning it all, but that got trashed after they lost to Winnipeg. I had had Nashville in the Final Four. I had San Jose in the Final Four only because I was partial to picking the Sharks, but Vegas dominated them. I had Pittsburgh, of course, but they lost to Washington. And then I had Tampa losing to Toronto, but then Toronto lost to Boston. I didn't think Tampa would even beat Boston the way they did, but they blew the doors off of Boston. After losing the opener 6-2 at home, they then blew them. They beat them in 4 straight games. Was not expecting that at all. So definitely a stunner there. See, and Vegas just scored again. Oh, and Winnipeg tied it up at one point, but now Vegas is up 2-1. See, Vegas at home. Vegas at home does not lose. It just does not happen. So that doesn't last. So I'm really hoping at least Tampa gets to the final. If it's Vegas, then we got to beat Vegas. That's all there is to it. We got to beat the best to be the best. So if it ends up that way, but got to get past Washington first because I know the Caps aren't going to go away. The Caps know they can beat Tampa in Tampa. They know they can play well with them. They just haven't looked good the past 2 games because they put Tampa on the power play a lot, and Tampa's power play has been lethal these playoffs. So I think they have a power play goal in like 9 straight games now is the stat, I believe, and Stamkos has a goal in like 6 straight or something. So, yeah, this has been really wild. So when Tampa's top lines are playing at their best, they tend to dominate. So just outstanding stuff there. So that's what I'm really hoping for. And then finally, let's conclude with NFL. NFL, the draft, of course, was recently, I think toward the tail end of last month. I watched the first round. I don't really watch much outside the first round anymore. I used to watch every day, but of course I don't have much of a chance to do that anymore. But I watched the first round, and that was interesting. I think for the most part, my teams did okay. The Cardinals, I think, killed it. I think they did great things. Especially, I love the favorite pick I had in the draft was the Cardinals drafting Josh Rosen. I loved that pick. I think that was an excellent pick because here's the thing. Sam Bradford's made of glass at this point. We all know at some point in the season he's going to get hurt. So Rosen's going to come in at some point and be the starter. And I think he's going to be outstanding for them. I think Arizona could potentially be a little bit of a dark horse this year. Not like fully, but somewhat of a surprise. But Cardinals and Texans to me killed it. Dolphins did okay, not great, but okay. I like their 4th-round pick though of Kalen Ballage, running back from Arizona State. I like that pick. And then Seahawks and Lions did not so great, not totally failure, but decent. But I was surprised the Seahawks went running back first round. That kind of caught me off guard a bit. The Lions going, I think, like an offensive tackle, that kind of surprised me, or like a center, But aside from that, I think they did okay. Nothing too off the charts, but just okay for those two. And then what I also did, and I do this every year. I did predictions. I did predictions of where I think the teams in the NFL will finish this season. And I broke down the whole schedule. I went through each of them. Now, what I haven't done yet is I haven't gone to the playoffs portion. I've only done the regular season schedule. I may do the playoff portion a little bit later on, and then share my picks on who I think will win the whole thing. But for now, I only did the regular season records. Going through the whole schedule. So here's how I have it broken down. Start with the AFC. AFC East, let's be honest here. Until Tom Brady retires, until Bill Belichick no longer coaches, New England is going to be the roost of the AFC East. We know this. The Patriots are going to be the overall number 1 in my opinion. I have the Patriots going 12-4 this season. Then I have Miami second going 9-7. I have the Jets at 6-10. I think the Jets will still struggle, but I like what the Jets have done with their moves in the offseason. The fact that they brought back Josh McCown at quarterback, but then drafted Sam Darnold in the draft, getting Isaiah Crowell at running back, also getting Thomas Rawls, getting Teddy Bridgewater as a third option at quarterback, getting Terrell Pryor at wide receiver, bringing back Quincy Enunwa. They still have some talent there. So I think the Jets will, win a couple games this year, but they still won't be, top tier just yet. I have Buffalo really struggling this year. Buffalo, Buffalo just doesn't have much in terms of talent. They don't really, they gave away Tyrod Taylor to Cleveland, so they no longer have a top tier quarterback anymore. It's either the quarterback's going to be AJ McCarron or Josh Allen, the rookie. So either way, that's going to be a struggle. And outside of LaShawn McCoy, they don't really have much in terms, again, the receiving core is weak. They don't have much really to build off of. So I think Buffalo's going to be the worst. I have them going 3-13. I think they're really going to take a big step back this year and really, really struggle, unfortunately. The AFC North, I think, is going to be, again, a really intense battle, but I still have Pittsburgh winning that division and being the number 3 overall seed in the AFC. I have the Steelers going 10-6. I have the Ravens second at 8-8. The Ravens are always the Ravens are either really, really, or either good, not great, but good, or they're average. Like the Ravens are never really bad either. They're either good or they're average. And that's the way I see Baltimore again this year. Baltimore didn't really do a whole lot in the offseason. They did get Michael Crabtree. They got John Brown in the offseason. They got Lamar Jackson to back up Flacco, and they got Robert Griffin III. But aside from that, the Ravens didn't do a whole lot. So there's still kind of a mystery. Flacco's still not a great quarterback. So there's still that kind of there. So it's still kind of a mystery. But I think Baltimore is going to be at least average, 8-8 record. I have Cincinnati third at 7-9. Cincinnati, again, I was really hyped on Cincinnati last year. I thought they would do really, really well, and it turns out that they didn't. So I think they're still going to kind of take a step back. They didn't really get much in the offseason either, so except from re-signing Tyler Eifert. But they're mostly the same team, so they're going to still be kind of 7-9. And I have the Cleveland Browns at 4-12. I think Cleveland will win a few games this year. I think Cleveland has added some nice pieces, getting Tyrod Taylor at quarterback, getting Baker Mayfield in the draft, getting Jarvis Landry from Miami, one of the better receivers in the league. Getting Carlos Hyde from San Francisco. They've added some nice pieces, and I think if is Gordon going to stay on track? The other receiving weapons. Are they going to Corey Coleman, is he going to get on track? So the talent now is there in Cleveland to win some games. They're still not going to be off the page great, but the wheels are now in motion to at least get some more wins. You can't. The last 2 years for Cleveland couldn't have been any worse, going 1-15 and then going 0-16. The only way they can go is up, and I think there's at least the potential, the chance this year for some wins. They're not going to be great yet, but the potential is starting to be there. AFC South, I think, is going to be one of the most competitive divisions again this season, except for one team. To me, the Houston Texans, I feel, are going to be the bounce-back story of the year. If Deshaun Watson is healthy, if he is fully recovered from that knee injury, if J.J. Watt is healthy, if Whitney Merciless is healthy, if the Texans stay healthy, I think they're going to really win the AFC South this year. I have them at 11-5, second place overall, second seed overall in the AFC. I think they're going to make the biggest noise this year. Right? The Jacksonville Jaguars also still doing well this year, 11-5 as well. And I have them as the number 5 seed as the wild card. And then also the wild card, the Tennessee Titans, the number 6 seed at 10-6. I think all three of these teams are very, very good. They made Jacksonville got some more weapons this offseason, re-signing Marquise Lee, getting Dante Moncrief from the Colts, getting Austin Sperry and Jenkins. Houston upgraded their secondary, getting Roosevelt Colvin and Tyrann Mathieu from Arizona. Tennessee got Deion Lewis to help with running back, with help with DeMarco Murray. Also getting Malcolm Butler in the secondary. So they added a lot more pieces. And, of course, we know that Jacksonville with Blake Bortles and his arm ability, the running game with who did they get? Leonard Fournette. Tennessee with Marcus Mariota there and his weapons. Will Corey Davis come along? All three of these teams are going to be really, really good. And that's why I think the Colts are still going to have a long year. The Colts also schedule is really tough, did no favors. And again, the health of Andrew Luck is still the major question mark. He still has yet to throw a football. So there's still a lot of question marks there. Not that the Frank Reich hire isn't great, but the problem is, again, they didn't do much in free agency. I think their draft was awful. all they did was draft like one offensive lineman, and then for some reason they're drafting more running backs and more wide receivers. Yay. But I don't know why, but it's like I think the Colts are getting in for a long year. Have them going 3-13. It's not going to be a fun year in Indy again. And I'm done with them. I can't stand watching them anymore. I can't stand the idiotic organization that runs that team. I can't. It's stupid. You know, they're just, it's adventures in idiocy. They want to trust a dead arm walking quarterback and not draft one. Okay. And then the AFC West is also going to be, I think, very competitive. But I have the Chargers winning the division this year as number 4 seed in the AFC overall, 10-6 record. I have Oakland, though, with John Gruden's first season at 9-7. I think Oakland's going to really surprise a lot of people this year because here's the thing about John Gruden. He inherited a good team. Like, there's a lot of talent there in Oakland this year for Gruden to build around. With Derek Carr there, getting Jordy Nelson, one of the better receivers in the game, getting Doug Martin at running back, Martavis Bryant also, Ryan Switzer to pair with Amari Cooper. I mean, the talent in Oakland is stacked, and I think there's potential for Oakland to really make some noise this season. I have Kansas City third the division at 8-8. The fact now that Patrick Mahomes now takes over as starting quarterback now since Alex Smith is gone, that's, of course, kind of a little bit of a question mark there for Kansas City, but the talent's still there with Kareem Hunt in the backfield, with Tyreek Hill at wide receiver. There's still a lot there to like in Kansas City. They got Sammy Watkins now to join that group. Damian Williams at running back now as well to kind of help Kareem Hunt as a third down back. So there's a lot to like there for Kansas City, but will it be competitive in the end? It'll be tough to tell. I think Denver's going to struggle. I think Denver's going to really suck. Because again, still a lot of questions for Denver at quarterback. Yes, they got Case Keenum, but is he the long-term answer? And then there's still Paxton Lynch there and Simeon there. It's like, it's tough. So a lot of question marks still there in Denver. So I have them going 3-13 as well. I don't see how Denver has a great year this year because again, the talent there just isn't there up and down the roster aside from the defense. But you got to have some offensive stalwarts, and really Denver doesn't. So then in the NFC, scroll down here a little bit. Where are you? There you are. NFC East. Again, I like the Philadelphia Eagles. I was the first to admit I was wrong last year on the Eagles. I was wrong. I did not think they would do very well, but I think coming off a Super Bowl win, I know it's hard to repeat, but I think they'll still be very good this year with Carson Wentz hopefully back at full health and the talent they have there in Philly. They got Mike Wallace now for a deep ball threat. They got Richard Rodgers, the tight end. So they're going to be they got Aaron Jones also from Green Bay. So they're going to be a team to watch again this year. Philly going 10-6, winning the NFC East. I have the Giants going 8-8. But another favorite pick I like in the NFL draft, the Giants drafting Saquon Barkley, the running back out of Penn State. I think he's going to be a threat right out of the box. And the Giants, even though they didn't do much in the offseason, I think they could certainly surprise with Eli still there, with Barkley, with Beckham in the receiving core. I think that can make a pretty strong trio there for the Giants. So they certainly will be in games this year. So I have the Giants going 8-8. I have Dallas struggling. I have Dallas taking a bigger step back because Dallas just got rid of Dez Bryant. They let him walk. So now he's a free agent. They didn't really do much in terms of the offseason. They still have Dak Prescott and Zeke Elliott, but you can only do so much with that. And I feel that Dallas's defense is also a major concern. So I feel Dallas is going to take some steps backwards. I have Dallas going 6-10, and I have Washington also really struggling this year because Washington let Kirk Cousins go, and now Kirk Cousins is in Minnesota. Washington, yes, did get Alex Smith, but aside from that, they didn't do a whole lot. Alex Smith had a lot more talent in Kansas City than he does now in Washington, and that to me is he's not going to be the sole reason that Washington has a good season. So I feel Washington's going to take a major step backwards. I have Washington going 3-13 this season as well, taking a major step backwards. NFC North, I feel, is somewhat up for grabs, but I still feel that as long as Aaron Rodgers is healthy, Green Bay is going to run the roost. I have Green Bay winning the division at 11-5, the number 3 seed in the NFC. Green Bay did lose a bit in the offseason, losing Jordy Nelson and Richard Rodgers, but he still has Randall Cobb, still has Devontae Adams, still has a pretty good backfield. And, of course, the secondary in Green Bay is strong. So as long as Aaron Rodgers is healthy, Green Bay is going to pretty much be the roost of the division. But I have Minnesota and Detroit ending up in a tie for second at 9-7. I feel like Detroit is going to really be a surprise this year. I think Detroit, what they did in the offseason, getting Garrett Blount to actually give them somewhat of a running game, because let's be honest at this point, Amir Abdullah sucks and is a bust. We know this. So LeGarrette Blount is hopefully going to be the main guy in the backfield to get them those carries. And then getting Wilson in the secondary to boost the secondary there with Darius Slay. Still got the receiving weapons with Golden Tate and who's the other guy? Marvin Jones. And Stafford, of course, still there. So Detroit, I think, is going to surprise this year. Minnesota is going to be good. We know this because Kirk Cousins has so much talent there in Minnesota to work with now Dalvin Cook coming back from that ACL injury in the backfield. With Stephon Diggs, with Adam Thielen, with Rudolph at tight end. They still have all that. And, of course, that defense in Minnesota is still very, very strong. So they'll be in the mix, but I don't think they'll be the same level as Green Bay. But Detroit will surprise. And I have Chicago at 6-10. I think Chicago will win a few games this year because also Mitchell Trubisky now has more weapons to work with there, with Allen Robinson there and now in receiver. Trey Burton, tight end. Taylor Gabriel is now there in Chicago. So Mitch Trubisky has a little bit more to work with. You still got Jordan Howard in the backfield. Chicago's got some talent there, and they will win some games, but I don't think they're quite competitor ready in the NFC North just yet. But they're getting closer. They are getting much closer with the talent they're developing there. NFC South, again, is kind of like the AFC South thing, is going to be the most fun and where a lot of the teams are going to end up in the postseason. I have the Carolina Panthers, though, winning this division at 11-5. I love what Carolina, again, with the dearth of talent they have there, with Cam Newton, with Christian McCaffrey. They did let Jonathan Stewart go, but McCaffrey alone can handle that backfield. With Artis Payne, they got Torrey Smith now back in Carolina, with Funchess there, Greg Olsen when he's healthy. I mean, this team is, and again, that defense, so entertaining to watch. They're going to be a fun team, and I think Carolina will rule the way. But I also have Atlanta, the number 5 seed in the NFC, being a wild card at 11-5, and then New Orleans, the number 6 seed at 10-6. Because again, these teams haven't changed very much. Matt Ryan's still in Atlanta. Drew Brees is still in New Orleans. The talent they have there, and Atlanta with that loaded backfield of Devonta Freeman and Tevin Coleman. The receivers, of course, Julio Jones. Getting Calvin Ridley in the draft was a great pick for Atlanta, by the way. That quick receiver was an outstanding pick. And then, of course, the dearth of weapons that Brees has in New Orleans. Ben Watson back at tight end. I think he's he's got dearth of receivers. Did let Coby Fleener go, but that really wasn't much of a loss. So tons of talent there in New Orleans. Of course, the backfield. Now, Mark Ingram has suspended the first 4 games of the season, but only gives Alvin Kamara more of a chance to shine. I think Adrian Peterson's coming back to New Orleans. So just a dearth of talent there. New Orleans is going to be competitive again. Tampa Bay, I still think, is going to struggle. I think the Bucs still aren't very close. They have a decent core around Jameis Winston, but all he really has in terms of weapons is Mike Evans and Cameron Brate. That's it. And the backfield now with Martin gone is pretty much non-existent. There's really no one to pick up the slack in the running game. So Tampa didn't have much outside of the weapons that Winston is there to throw to. So I think Tampa's going to struggle. I have them going 3-13. I don't think they're going to do a great job. In the NFC West, my surprise this year, the San Francisco 49ers. I have them winning the NFC West at 11-5, the number 2 overall seed in the NFC. I love what San Francisco did in the offseason, getting 3 key players. Of course, re-signing Marquise Goodwin, their top wide receiver, getting Richard Sherman in the secondary from Seattle, and getting Jerick McKinnon, the running back from Minnesota, that used to be in Minnesota. All great moves with the 49ers. John Lynch now knows what he's doing. And oh, by the way, he's got a quarterback in Jimmy Garoppolo that has yet to lose a start. So the 49ers are on the right track. They're going to be the bounce-back team of the year. 11-5 record, I think, winning the NFC West. But I have the Rams in second place at 10-6. The Rams are still going to be very, very good. They made a lot of great moves this offseason, re-signing Tavon Austin, getting Brandon Cooks from the Saints also, and then also beefing up their secondary, getting Sam Shields and Aqib Talib from Denver. Huge moves there. So the Rams on the defensive side are going to be stronger. Their offense is still very solid with Gurley in the backfield. And now with the weapons that Jared Goff has at his disposal, the Rams are going to be another team to watch out for again this season. But they will barely miss the playoffs because the NFC South is so loaded. And then Seattle and Arizona, I feel like going to take steps back this year, especially the Seahawks. I have them both at 7-9. Seattle really didn't do much in the offseason. They didn't really make a whole lot of big, flashy moves. They didn't do much in the draft. So I'm worried about that because, the running game is still kind of a mystery. Yeah, you have Russell Wilson, but he just doesn't have much to offer, and the defense now isn't as strong as it once was. So I fear that Seattle's going to take a step back this year. Same with Arizona. I mean, Arizona, yeah, they have Bradford now. They have Mike Glennon there as well at quarterback, but we hope Josh Rosen's going to be the guy. You still got David Johnson. You still got Larry Fitzgerald back for another season. But what about the defense now with Matthew gone? What's the defense going to look like now? Are they going to struggle at times? And especially Arizona tends to struggle away from home. So I worry about that a bit. So I think they're going to take a step back and end up at 7-9 this year. All right, guys, that's all I got. That is it. Thank you guys again so much for tuning in. Thank you for, again, your views. You guys subscribe. I thank you so much for your support. That means so much to me. If you have any comments, anything about the last few episodes of MLP or, my thoughts on Sensation or NFL, NHL, what have you, please feel free to hit up the comment box below. I will try to get to responses as often as I can. In terms of the next episode, it will probably be, I would say, probably early June. I'm going to shoot for early June. There'll probably be an episode this month because we got Indy 500 also here in a couple weeks. So I'll definitely be tracking Indy here toward the end of this month. But probably here in early June, I will do episode 19 of ATSD. Hopefully have a lot more topics to discuss. Of course, more episodes to talk about for sure. I think by then we'll either be close to the midway point of season 8 or the hiatus point, or not, maybe not quite to it, but we'll have a few more episodes to talk about for sure. And then we'll just go from there. Hopefully many more topics popping up as well. So thank you guys for tuning in. I appreciate you very, very much. God bless all of you. Again, to all you who are Everfree Northwest, have an outstanding weekend at Con this weekend. And I will see you guys next month in early June for episode 19 of According to Spiky Dash. May all your dreams be wonderful. Zoom and boom. God bless and good night.